Assalamu alaikum. As we know, companions of the Prophet are warriors of Islam. Learning about them would strengthen our faith and motivate us to work in the name of Allah. So let us begin. I bet you didn't know Abdullah was the son of Abbas, an uncle of the noble Prophet. He was born just 3 years before the Hijrah. When the Prophet died, Abdullah was thus only 13 years old. When he was born, his mother took him to the Blessed Prophet. This was the beginning of the close and intimate tie between Abbas and the Prophet that was to be part of a lifelong love and devotion. When Abdullah reached the age of discretion, he attached himself to the service of the Prophet. He would run to fetch water for him when he wanted to make wudu. During Salat, he would stand behind the Prophet in prayer, and when the Prophet went on journeys or expeditions, he would follow next in line to him. Abdullah thus became like the shadow of the Prophet, constantly in his company. In all these situations he was attentive and alert to whatever the Prophet did and said. His heart was enthusiastic and his young mind was pure and uncluttered, committing the Prophet's words to memory with the capacity and accuracy of a recording instrument. Abdullah recounted an incident where he prepared water for the Prophet's ablution. When the Prophet invited him to stand by his side during prayer, Abdullah declined out of reverence. The Prophet prayed for him again, asking Allah to grant him wisdom. Abdullah's quest for knowledge intensified after the Prophet's death. He sought out companions who had spent more time with the Prophet to learn from them. If he heard of someone possessing knowledge of a hadith he did not know, Abdullah would go to great lengths to learn it, often subjecting the information to meticulous scrutiny. On one occasion, he waited patiently outside a companion's house, rather than disturb him during his afternoon rest. When the companion came out and saw Abdullah, he expressed surprise that the cousin of the Prophet had humbled himself in such a way. Abdullah replied, "Knowledge is sought, it does not come to you." In this way, and through his constant researches later, as we shall see, Abdullah became one of the most learned companions of the Prophet, preserving on behalf of later generations of Muslims the priceless words of the Messenger of God. It is said that he committed to memory about 1,660 sayings of the Prophet, which are recorded and authenticated in the collections of Al-Bukhari and Muslim. The Prophet would often draw Abdullah as a child close to him, pat him on the shoulder and pray, "O Lord, make him acquire a deep understanding of the religion of Islam, and instruct him in the meaning and interpretation of things." Abdullah specialized not only in collecting hadith but also in various disciplines, including Quranic exegesis, jurisprudence, and Arabic language. He admired scholars like Zayd ibn Thabit, and showed them great respect, often behaving like a humble student despite his own esteemed lineage. Zayd, in turn, honored Abdullah as a member of the Prophet's household. Abdullah's knowledge earned him widespread admiration. Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second caliph, frequently consulted him on state matters and described him as the young man of maturity. Companions like Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas praised his quick understanding, vast knowledge, and wisdom. Abdullah became known as the learned man of this ummah. The Prophet's prayer undoubtedly was granted for the young Abdullah, who was to prove time and again that he possessed a wisdom beyond his years. But it was a wisdom that came only with devotion and the dogged pursuit of knowledge both during the Prophet's lifetime and after his death. During the lifetime of the Prophet, Abdullah would not miss any of his assemblies, and he would commit to memory whatever he said. After the Prophet passed away, he would take care to go to as many companions as possible, especially those who knew the Prophet longer, and learn from them what the Prophet had taught them. Whenever he heard that someone knew a hadith of the Prophet which he did not know, he would go quickly to him and record it. He would subject whatever he heard to close scrutiny and check it against other reports, going to as many as 30 companions to verify a single matter. Abdullah once described what he did upon hearing that a companion of the Prophet knew a hadith unknown to him. "I went to him during the time of the afternoon siesta, and spread my cloak in front of his door. The wind blew dust on me as I sat waiting for him. If I wished, I could have sought his permission to enter and he would certainly have given me permission. But I preferred to wait on him so that he could be completely refreshed. Coming out of his house and seeing me in that condition, he said, 'O cousin of the Prophet, what's the matter with you? If you had sent for me, I would have come to you.' 'I am the one who should come to you, for knowledge is sought, it does not just come,' I said. I asked him about the hadith and learnt from him. In this way, the dedicated Abdullah would ask and go on asking, and he would sift and scrutinize the information he had collected with his keen and meticulous mind. It was not only in the collection of hadith that Abdullah specialized. He devoted himself to acquiring knowledge in a wide variety of fields. He had a special admiration for persons like Zayd ibn Thabit, the recorder of the revelation. Zayd was the leading judge and jurist consult in Medina, an expert in the laws of inheritance and in reading the Quran. When Zayd intended to go on a trip, the young Abdullah would stand humbly at his side. Taking hold of the reins of his mount, he would adopt the attitude of a humble servant in the presence of his master. Zayd would say to him, "Don't, O cousin of the Prophet." "Thus we were commanded to treat the learned ones among us," Abdullah would say, and Zayd would say to him in turn, "Let me see your hand." Abdullah would stretch out his hand. Zayd, taking it, would kiss it and say, "Thus we were commanded to treat the al-Bayt members of the household of the Prophet." As Abdullah's knowledge grew, he grew in stature. Masruq ibn al-Ajda said of him, "Whenever I saw Ibn Abbas I would say, he is the most handsome of men. When he spoke I would say, he is the most eloquent of men, and when he held a conversation I would say, he is the most knowledgeable of men." The Khalifa Umar ibn al-Khattab often sought his advice on important matters of state and described him as the young man of maturity. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas described him with these words, "I have never seen someone who was quicker in understanding, who had more knowledge and greater wisdom than Ibn Abbas. I have seen Umar summon him to discuss difficult problems in the presence of veterans of Badr from among the Muhajirin and Ansar. Ibn Abbas would speak and Umar would not disregard what he had to say." It is these qualities which resulted in Abdullah ibn Abbas being known as the learned man of this ummah.